Hello, hello. Is everybody with me today? Hello, hello. Let's share broadcast here. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm still trying to figure this thing out here. Hello everyone. I'm trying to figure out how to get her on here with me. There was a way to do it. 1, 2. Okay. Hi everyone. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Yay. Hopefully we're connecting now with Haley. Facebook has been a little funny, so.
Hello.
Hello, you're with us. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the IABE Live Author Interview. Today we are talking to author Haley Rhoades, and I couldn't be more excited to have you be our first interview ever. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself for anybody who hasn't experienced your books yet?
I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of feedback. You're talking and then it's talking again and again. So I'm trying to figure out how to get that off because I can hear you say your things 3 times in a row. I'm Haley Rhoades. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, and formerly from Iowa. I tend to write about Midwestern books and lives in small towns in Iowa, Missouri, or big towns like Des Moines and Kansas City.
All right. The feedback is pretty bad. Do you have your mic cranked up all the way?
Does that make it better?
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now. There we go. Is that better?
I'm switching devices here. I'm going from my iPad to my computer to see if that works better.
Okay. Well, we're going to see if we can get her back. Hold on just a minute. She said she's switching computers. I can understand. Obviously, I have a laptop going here too. So if I'm looking down throughout the broadcast, I'm just looking for your questions while we're there. Anyways, I'm excited to have everybody with us. We are so super. Let me see if I can get her back here. Sorry if I look funny, guys. This is why this is the first show ever. Yay! I'm so excited. I can't even begin to tell you guys. Let's see here. Woohoo! Let's see. Okay, I can see her in the group here. And guys, I am so sorry about this. Let's see. I don't want to do any of that. No, I don't want a mask. Sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button. Oh no, we are not lip syncing. That was not what I wanted. Okay, so All right, Haley, it says I invited you again. Let's see here. I am so sorry, guys. I wish I would knew what was going on. I am so sorry, guys. Let's see if we can get her back in here. All right. Well, let's try this again. Haha, there you are. Okay, it says we're connecting. Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. Hope everyone's having a great Labor Day, by the way. I know it's a holiday, and I'm sorry I'm asking a whole lot of everybody. I could probably sing. Well, guys, once again, I am so sorry. This was supposed to be super easy. Apparently, it's not as easy as I thought it was. Let's see. We will totally get this soon, Haley. While I'm sitting here talking, trying to get this connected. If you haven't already, don't forget to check out this really awesome fundraiser we're doing. Trying to get a printing press so we can lower the cost of books for indie authors and make them more accessible to readers all over the world. And let's see here. Where was that at? Approve.
All right.
Yay!
I see you. You see me?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I can. No feedback.
Yay!
You have to do it on my end on a device. It won't let me do it on my laptop.
Oh.
So when you send the join, it would go to the iPad again. And I was like thinking, oh no, that's where all the interference was. But it's working this time.
Okay, good. It was giving me a little bit of trouble, so I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
How are you today?
Very good. This is actually my first live interview, so it's a little nerve-wracking.
Oh, we'll be easy on you today. So tell us a little bit again about your books. What genre do you write in? Where can we find you?
Okay. I write romance books. I have 7 that I have self-published myself in the last 2 years, so I'm relatively new to this. I live in the Midwest. With my husband's job, we've moved all over the place, so I tend to write about the locations in which we've lived or in which I grew up. So they're centered a lot in Iowa or in Missouri. The current series I'm writing is called the Local Series, and it's a small town in rural Missouri. And it also talks about places in Kansas City when they go to the big city to shop or do something more fun.
So these ideas come from where you live. What other inspirations do you have that spark these book ideas?
Most of my book ideas have come to me either from words that have popped into my head. My book, Boxers and Briefs, I was actually watching an underwear commercial, and it just talked about boxers. And then in my head, I'm like, boxers or briefs? And so I Googled it to see if there were any other books called that. That's the only book I actually had the title before I had the idea. Other ones are actually dreams I've had. And then, sometimes you wake up and all day long you remember the dream you had. And in my mind, I go on to complete the story, finish the story as I daydream all day long. It's kind of like having little voices in my head, but they're not actually people talking. It's me daydreaming. And so I've had several of those. And then for those, I talked about the title, Boxers and Briefs was easy. For the other books, the title seems to be the hardest part for me. Once I'm done coming up with the catchy title for the story that I've spent so long on.
So what's your least favorite part about writing in general?
Easily, that is editing. And my husband kind of has a joke. He knows when I'm editing because I will do almost anything in the world as an excuse not to edit. And that's me going through and editing once or twice before I send it to an editor. For instance, one day, no lie, I vacuumed the carpet on the front porch. That's how desperate I was to do something rather than go to my office and edit. It's really easy for me to brainstorm a story, kind of plot it a little, and then spend hours and hours writing it. My problem is once I have it written, to go back through and try and cut and paste or to look at the terminology and the words and those type of things, my mind doesn't find that fun. So I struggle with that. And it usually, instead of being a 2-week process, I might draw it out into 2 or 3 months.
You are not alone with that. I totally do that. I preach. So you are not alone. Do you find it easier to work in your office alone, or do you feel like you need a little bit of a background to keep you on pace?
I'm a rule breaker. I'm a pantser, for those that know the term. Sometimes I plot, sometimes I outline, sometimes I just write. I may write chapter 32 before I write chapter 1. It's whatever I'm in the mood for that day. And as far as writing, I have a cute little office, which you can see behind me. But there are days that writing in the office doesn't work for me. So I might write out on the back porch on the patio in the sun. I might write in the living room or in my front room, a chair. If I'm struggling, I pick the chair. If the chair doesn't feel comfortable, I keep moving until I feel comfortable where I'm sitting, because I find certain days I'm in the mood for, a high back office chair. Certain days I'm in the mood to lay down on the sofa and type on my laptop. So, I kind of, depending on my day and my mood, that's where I'll be writing and what I'll be writing. I jump to the part I feel like writing that day instead of forcing myself to write the next chapter.
That's really awesome. Do you ever find it like yourself outside your favorite place outside the house that you could sneak away times?
So far, the only place I've really written outside of the house is on my deck. I have gone to a local like bar and grill and written a little, but I find I tend to people watch, and therefore I start coming up with other book ideas or other character ideas instead of working on what I need to be working on that day. And I'm also not one that can sit with other writers where we're all typing and writing. That kind of, I get distracted, their keyboard strokes or what color ink pen they're using in their notebook, those type of things can be very distractive to me. So I tend to write alone. I will write using the notes app on my iPhone if I'm in a parking lot or if I'm walking down a grocery store aisle and I have an idea. So I write on all types of items. I'll use paper and pen one day. I'll use a little notebook. I'll use my iPhone, or I'll use my laptop, depending on where I'm at. I'm constantly writing or jotting down something, whether it be for my current book or for future books.
Okay, now be honest. How many works in progress do you have?
Here is my current notebook of future story ideas, and I did count before the interview started. There are 21 in here. And like for some, it's just a little bit of an idea. And then I have some that are 3 or 4 pages that they keep coming to me. And if I don't write it down, it haunts me. And I always say, like to my husband, I have all these things swarming in my head. It may be 2 a.m., it may be 6 in the morning. If I don't either send myself an email about it or put it in that notebook, I can't move on to do what I'm really supposed to be doing at that time, because it it keeps bothering me, and it grows, and I start adding details, and I start thinking of new locations or something. So I keep this notebook pretty close to me. I have a notes app that is future book ideas. And every now and then I just click, that's really nice because you can email that to yourself, and then I'll put it in my notebook the next time I'm beside it. So right now I'm editing one book, writing one book, and I've got 3 pages in that notebook of the book I'll be writing next.
Whoo! You are one key. So, is there a go-to theme behind your book?
So far, I've written in the new adult area where they're like 18 to 24 age group. And these were like my first ideas, the first things. One of them was 11 years ago, the story started, and that was Third Wheel, which I originally put out as 3 books in the Surrogate series because I was just so quick wanting to learn to self-publish and get those out there. So there's 3 little books called the Surrogate series, which was The Proposal, the first one. The Deed was the second one, and The Confession was the third. And then when I was done, I combined them all into one book called The Third Wheel, which is actually the story that haunted me the longest, and I just had to get it out there. And so I think because I was more in my 20s when these thoughts really actually came to me and I started writing them down in an itty bitty notebook, that's why they were new adults. They were that under 25 age group, and life is just beginning. You're young, you're fast, you're going out and doing all these things, which is so far from my life now, which is boring, sitting in my pajamas all day and binge watching shows. So that's kind of been the theme so far. All of my characters tend to be very strong women. And I think that's because I like to think of myself as being strong. They all have a vulnerable side. They've all got, those character flaws, but I kind of like those women that kick butt and are strong but can still be vulnerable. So that has been my theme so far. Now, in my handy dandy book of 21 other items, some of the women are older, some of the couples are older. There's some other themes in there. And I've got another notebook. Okay, so I say I have 21. These are 21 romance ideas. I do have some young adult. And honestly, when I read, I think young adult books is my favorite genre. And so I have some ideas in that genre, but those deal with some more sensitive issues in my past life, and they're harder for me to think about and talk about, even though I've started, formulating stories based on those. And so at some point, I hope to branch off in that area, but it doesn't come to me as easy because it is difficult to write about things that have touched your lives or touched the lives of your friends.
I can feel that. It's a little emotional to just read it
Yes.
over and over.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's move on to something a little more upbeat. What is your favorite part of going out to book signings or author events and meeting people who haven't met you before?
Oh, I'm not one to shy away from public. Talking in public, I did that a lot in my youth, and so it's not something that totally scares me. I am scared to one-on-one talk to a person who's read my book. It's one thing for them over the internet to tell you what they liked or didn't like and everything, but if you do see a reader out in public, and it can even be a close friend of mine that read my book, that scares me to death. But actually meeting new people, talking about what I like to write, what my stories are, and introducing them to some of my characters, that's fun. I like writers' events because you get to see other writers, and we tend to be weird. I used to work as a radio DJ, and I will tell you, the voice never fits the person. So having read books, when you read someone and then you go meet the author, or you've heard about an author, they never look or seem like you think they might. So I enjoy meeting the other authors, learning, about what they struggle with and what they enjoy, seeing how they display their books and, what swag they have with it. So I've only done a few author things. I've got a big one coming up here in Kansas City this month called Show Me Your Books KC. And so I'm really excited about that one. Love when people walk up and ask me questions, about why did you start writing, or what's this book about, or of all your books, which one do you think I would like? You got to get to know the person really quick and what they like to read and a little bit about them so that you can recommend those things. But kind of new to the author interviews, blog posts, and going out in public. So I'm a newbie to all that.
Well, we thank you for breaking down stigmas that authors are hermits that never come out of it. We appreciate that. It's one of our goals to break down all those stigmas people have had about independent authors,
right,
or just authors in general. So what has been the craziest reaction you've had when you've told like a family member or friends you decided to self-publish?
Oh my goodness. A lot of my family members follow me. I use a pen name, so they follow me online and they kind of promote my things. Several of them have not read my works, which, you know, for some of my family members, that's fine. I don't want them to read what I write about. But then when my mother asked for signed copies of each of my books, that was kind of a humbling moment. You know, I mean, I want her to have my books, but actually autographing a book and giving it to your mom, that was a big, you know, a big surprise. And then to find out that she read it, I was like, oh my goodness, you know, because I write some steamy things in there. Not everything in my book is from my real life. I will put that out there. You know, some of it is up here. Okay. But my cousin had commented to someone, I didn't even know Gretchen, which is my real name. Haley Rhoades is my pen name. I didn't even know she knew those words. So then I'm like, oh, okay, I know what book she read. Wonder what words she's talking about, you know? So it is kind of funny to hear them. I did have a friend, we were going on a week trip out of the country, and we're on the airplane, and she's like an aisle over and one back, and she was reading one of my books. And, you know, to be next to someone while they're reading your book, and I know everything I write is right up her alley, you know, but she's back there. So when she laughed, I would turn around and go, what part are you at? What do you read? Oh, that's a good part. I can't wait, you know. But you didn't want to tell her what was coming up. But when you saw her reaction or she got really quiet, I'm like, oh no, she's at the sad part, you know. But to see her laugh, I had to know what part was making her laugh, you know, just so I'd know how other readers might be experiencing the book and how they go through it. I do have several people at a local grocery store that love my book. And so every time I shop, you know, when they're reading it, they're like, oh, I'm at such and such part and everything, you know. And I get real excited by that. But then when they're like now I'm editing book 3 in a series and I'm writing book 4. Well, of course they want books right now. Are you done yet? Are you done yet? I've got to know. Does it happen in book 3? Does it happen in book 4? I'm ready. You know, I need to know when she tells him. When's it going to happen? You know, so their excitement feeds my desire to get back home and write, which is a good thing. I just feel like I can't ever put anything out there fast enough for them, which is a good problem to have. You want to have those fans and you want to have that. And like you said, breaking stereotypes, that's another reason for writers to get out of the house, you know, because they give me excitement and make me want to get back at home and get that book done so that I can get another one out there for them.
Awesome. I love hearing What was your husband's reaction to the first time you read some of your work?
He knows maybe a paragraph here or there or a storyline. He hasn't actually read one of my books all the way through. He is like my biggest person handing out business cards. He keeps them in his wallet. My wife's a writer. Do you read? You know, and stuff like that. And so he'll come home and tell me those things. He's very, very proud. I'm going to move you in my office here. I keep it up on the wall. You can see right here this little note. And what it says is, I am very, very proud of you. This took a lot of hard work, and it is really cool. I love you so much. And that's what, when I hit publish on my first book, that is what note he left me the next day. And so I keep that in my office so I can see it, you know, because he knows it's a big struggle to get it all on paper and to get it out there. And he's the one that'll come home and I've been crying all afternoon. And he's like, what happened? Well, no, I'm writing a very sad part. Well, and then 2 or 3 months later, I'm editing that part. And so I've cried all afternoon when he gets home. So he knows it's a labor of love. It has its up and downs. And so that little note is something that's really important, and I keep it very close by.
Oh, that is so sweet. My husband has not been that supportive. He's proud of me for writing, but that's all I get from him. If he does run into readers, he does then go through the whole, my wife's a writer.
Yeah.
I've never had cute little notes like that. That is so adorable.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sentimental that way. I've got, you know, some notes that, oh no, you're lagging. I hope you can still hear me.
Yep, I'm still with you.
Okay. I tend to keep like notes if he gave me flowers, what he signed and wrote on a little card and stuff like that, you know, and he's sweet about that. He is one that keeps me on track. He's constantly saying, are we ready to hit the publish button? Are we ready? You know, and sometimes I tease him. I'm like, gosh, give me time. It takes time. But, you know, him doing that keeps me going too, so that I know I have a deadline and I don't want to take 10 years to do another book. So, I kind of like the pressure he gives me. I do sometimes when I get close to the end, I try not to tell him because then it's every day. Are you ready to hit publish? Are you ready to hit publish?
Well, at least you have a good fan built into your house.
Right. It's helpful.
That is amazing. I'm glad to hear. So let's kind of get into something a little different. Do you blog at all?
I do have a blog, and I'm not as good and steady with it as I should be. I try to once a month at least put something out there on the blog. Social media, anyone who's an independent author knows that if you're not writing, you're on social media trying to promote yourself. And when you're on social media, that means you're not writing the next book. And so I get in points where like I'll do really good for 1 month, social media, hitting the blog, getting things out there, but I don't write that much. Those are usually my editing months because I'm trying to avoid the editing process, you know. And so then when I get to writing, which is what I've been doing last month and really this month, I'm not hitting the social media or the blogging quite as much as I should be. So when I do blog, they tend to be really informative or really important things, since I'm not actually doing it 2 or 3 times a week like a lot of people do.
Awesome. Well, we are down to our last 5 minutes here. I am going to do something really interesting that I love doing at the end of this year. I'm going to give you the last 5 minutes. Give us a sample of your work, whatever you want to read, and then give us all your plugs so we can follow you.
Okay. The book I'm going to be reading from is the first in the current series that I'm writing. There will be 4 books when it's done. Book 1 and 2 have been published. It's called the Local series. This is the Locals #1, and it's called Tailgates and Truck Dates. And we're going to start in chapter 11. And each chapter of this book starts, this is a character who grew up in this small town with 2 stoplights. And she, at age 18, couldn't wait to graduate and get out of the town. But that means she's leaving friends behind. So each chapter, like this chapter 11, starts with a reason she's ready to get out of town. Athens doesn't even have a Walmart. It's another of the 4,724 reasons I can't wait to escape this town. Today is game day. Baseball season is my favorite time of the year. I love the smell of fresh cut grass, the heat of the sun, and the taste of the sunflower seeds. Nothing beats the view from the top of the bleachers during the national anthem as the 2 teams stand near the fresh chalk lines to address the stars and stripes. I love the rituals each team and player believe in. Hamilton, which is the second big character in this book, is one of the most superstitious players I've ever heard of. His mom delivers a cold Snickers bar to him in the dugout before each game. He has rules for hanging his uniform. His socks lay over the hanger with his belt. Next, his pants lay on top of them. His sleeves go on next, then the jersey. Lastly, his hat slips over the bend of the hook. He always loads his bat bag, and he even sleeps with his glove the nights before he pitches. Each year he writes the Lord's Prayer on the underside of the bill of his cap with an ink pen, so it's visible to his eyes only during the game. He winks at his mom and me in the on-deck circle before each at-bat. And in the event of a team loss, he refuses to wash his socks until they win again. Fortunately, the Blue Jays win most of their games. I hardly slept a wink last night. I fear I'm more anxious about today's home opener than Hamilton is. I attempt to busy myself cleaning my room, doing laundry, washing my car to pass the time this morning. I still have 2 hours before the first pitch. I decide to head into Athens. Maybe I will find someone to visit with until I show up at the field. Upon entering town, I need to stop at the grocery store to procure the snacks I need for a doubleheader today. I grab the handheld basket and carry it as I shop. I choose 1 box of Milk Duds to consume before they melt in the heat, a bag of Mike and Ike's, Dakota sunflower seeds, and Tootsie Pops. Every game I bring the same 4 items. I always bring my own because I can't risk the concession stand being out or doesn't carry them. I am as superstitious as Hamilton is. He has his game day routines and I have mine. I don't have to consume all 4 of them, but I must have them in my possession at the game. It's a team effort and I do my part as a fan. Before I pull from the grocery parking lot, I text Adrian, Savannah, Bethany, and Salem. From me, I'm early. Anyone ready for the game? Adrian, pick me up. I'm ready. Me, heading your way now. Salem, I'll be there soon, and Savannah gets off right before the game. Me, see you soon. Later, with snacks and cooler in my hand, Adrian and I head across the parking lot toward the ballpark. Adrian carries her homemade Blue Jay colors fleece blanket for us to sit on the wooden bleachers. As we approach, the team is warming up in the outfield. Hamilton is throwing in the bullpen, and a few parents from both teams sit in lawn chairs scattered around the infield fence. Adrian and I sit on the top row of the bleachers in our usual corner. As game time draws near, I don't see Hamilton's mother yet, and this concerns me. From the height of our seats, I search the parking lot, but her truck is not there. I go ahead and purchase the Snickers bar at the concession stand before making my way to the home team dugout. Through the gaps between wooden boards, I spot Hamilton at the end of the bench. Without a word, I pass him the candy bar through the crack. He grabs it with a smile. In his mother's absence, I couldn't let this pregame ritual go undone. I only hope he doesn't worry why his mother is not here. As the head coach doesn't allow girls near the players while in uniform on game day, I quietly slip back to my seat in the stands. My cell phone vibrates in my pocket. It's a text from Hamilton. Thank you. Mom said she'd be here right at game time today. I'm shocked that he's using his cell phone as they are prohibited in the dugout. I look toward the field, but note both coaches are speaking with umpires near home plate. With no coach in the dugout, Hamilton took a second to message me. I hurry to reply so he doesn't get caught with his phone. From me, no worries. Good luck. As you can see, she's his biggest fan.
Yay! Oh my gosh, that's so hard. I'm going to have to get my copy of that ASAP.
A little something about my books I forgot to mention. A lot of authors struggle with coming up with names, and each of my books I have a trivia page in the back. My first 3 books in the Surrogate series, all of the names are presidential, the first or last names, so Clinton, Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln. So the characters' names, first and last names, are all president names in those books. And then I divulge that on my trivia page. For this series, everybody's name is a town somewhere in Missouri. So Hamilton, Madison, Adrian, all of those are towns somewhere in Missouri. The town Athens that's set in, actually there's no Athens in Missouri. There's an Athens, like a little township at one point, but it no longer exists. So I kind of do that, even like with Boxers and Briefs. All of the names were either first or last names of famous boxers or lawyers. So it's something that I do that kind of helps me quickly come up with character names instead of struggling to find a perfect name for each person.
So you get a 2-for-1 when you purchase your book.
Yes, you do. You get a little bit of trivia about each book in the back, which I put a link in the front, and it's no spoilers. You can read the trivia so that it helps you while you read, or you can wait till the end to see it.
Oh, that is so awesome. I've never seen that in a book before. That is amazing. I will be rushing out to get my copy. I hope everybody watching or watches this goes out and gets a copy. We will have you go ahead and post your in the comments.
Okay.
For everybody else who's watching at a later time. Other than that, thank you so much for taking time today to let me interview you for the first time live.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really important because independent authors have to do everything themselves. Not only do they write, they edit, they have to self-promote, they have to publicize, they have to do all of that. You can kind of see the books on the bookshelf behind me. I'm a big believer in supporting other independent authors, and that's what most of those books back there are from people that I've met. I've met so many over the internet from Sweden and Australia and Chicago. Even though I'm a Cardinals fan and she's a Chicago fan, we are friends over the internet. And so I buy their books and I help promote their books on my social media and write reviews, and they do the same. And that's something that's great about your blog and your website is you're helping the independent authors get out there to the public, and you help promote. And so I want to thank you very much for that.
Anytime I started this sport, I have this belief we need to uplift each other, help each other,
Yeah.
instead of consider each other competition.
Exactly. We're in it together. It's a community. Even if you write the exact same genre or similar books, it's very important that we help each other.
Absolutely. We will have to get you back to go for sure.
Okay.
Once I get a little more figured out.
Yes, it's important. It's a learning curve. And with this being a holiday, maybe, some people will watch this later and they can see that we worked it all out. At the beginning, it was a little rough, but we hung in there. We don't give up easy.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to the rest of your holiday. We do appreciate it. Everybody check out Haley Rhoades if you haven't already. And keep buying indie books. Read these amazing stories. It's what we're here for.
Yes, thank you very much.
Have a great day, everyone. And love you. See you later.